as we've been discussing, a big news around indigenization law having been passed in the country. Run us through some of the sentiment on the ground over on that end right now.
Yeah, just to begin, it's that General Notice 114/11, and that got passed on Friday. In essence, what this law is doing is incorporating all the potential legal challenges that business could have brought up. Initially, the first Indigenization and Economic Empowerment Act stipulated that it was companies with a net asset value of $500,000 and above that were required to comply with this law. But having looked at it, most of the companies wouldn't have qualified for that because we had just come out of the hyperinflationary era, and we had just dumped the US dollar, and many companies were in debt. So there weren't many companies that would have qualified. So what they've done is they've reduced the threshold to $1. So if a company has a net asset value of $1, and it is foreign owned, it is subject to getting indigenized. Basically, what the minister has done is given those foreign companies 45 days within which to submit their indigenization proposals, whereby they should have 51% in the hands of indigenous Zimbabweans. What that actually means is that there is an option, but to structure the deal, but the bottom line still remains that 51% should be in the hands.
Of course, it's that bottom line, Itai, that impacted our platinum miners in particular. Yesterday, we know that Implatz, via its operation in Zimbabwe, is just one of those companies affected by indigenization laws. Run us through some of the additional pressure that lies on companies like this, though, because we've had proxies for other politicians demanding 10%, and this in the form of community trust groups in the area.
Yeah, it's a very interesting scenario where everybody can wake up and form a trust, or you can form some form of indigenization machinery. To begin with, we had what we call the Indigenous Business Development Center, and then we actually still have what is called the Affirmative Action Group. We also have the National Indigenization and Economic Empowerment Board. There's also somebody called the Broad-Based Indigenization and Economic Board as well. So you have all these things springing up as people try to scramble and get a piece of the action. What's happening to Zimbabwe is that, yes, there are two chiefs in Mashonaland West that want a combined 10% in Zimbabwe. But there are two other chiefs that haven't expressed an interest at the moment. The two chiefs are being led by ZANU-PF legislator and former Deputy Minister, Bright Matonga, who's basically saying he wants to model it on the Bafokeng arrangement that Zimbabwe has. I know Bafokeng is 13%, but these guys are asking for 10%. Matonga says he's actually going to pay. It makes a difference if there's going to be some form of payment. We don't know where he's going to get the money, though. But the rest of the indigenization clause is worrying because we're not too sure where this money is going to come from. There's been talk about a sovereign wealth fund, but as you know, we're still struggling to even finance our government at the moment. And
of course, the implications here is where you've got to concentrate on, it's one thing having the resources, another thing having the technology and the capacity, the skills to actually get the stuff out of the ground.
Yeah, exactly. That's the moral of the story. I mean, resources being in the ground and not being extracted actually don't have a real value until you've extracted them. But in this law, they're trying to take care of that. Government is actually saying evaluation of the resource and an evaluation of the company will actually be made based on what the potential that mine is going to yield. And the foreign company is supposed to take into consideration government sovereign ownership of the materials that's underground. So it's going to be a little bit complicated. I don't know how you can actually come up with a valuation of that sort, barring bringing maybe international accounting firms.
Itai, while that gets resolved and with that law having been passed, behind the scenes politically, we've got a vote taking place in Parliament today for a Speaker of Parliament. Run us through the scenario that's playing out there, because it seems that opposition parties are now coming through with more offer unity voice and possibly posing some challenge to ZANU-PF moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's long overdue in terms of the opposition's stance. Remember, there used to be actually one party, and it's because of the division that they have been having all along that ZANU-PF has been having a field day in terms of passing legislation as the indigenization law, because every law, then the House has to be divided, or rather they take it to a vote, and whoever wins is by a simple majority. So you obviously had a situation where the opposition parties were not supporting themselves, and at the end you do get bills like this passing through, and a continuation of the sort of rubber stamping role that Parliament has always had, not only since the days of ZANU-PF but pre-independence.